Hey, welcome everyone. This is another session of Ask Scanner School where I answer your scanner radio questions right here live on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook, we're live on Instagram, and we should be live on Twitter as well this month. There's no TikTok this month. We're trying to tone things down, keep it a little bit simple this month, and we are back focused on you guys here. I know it was a little bit back and forth when we did it before, but again, I want to thank you for joining us. If you're catching us live, you can go ahead and leave us a question over on the side of the YouTube chat. If you're catching us on Facebook, leave the comments down below. And if you're catching us on a replay, I want to thank you for catching us on the replay. I want to thank you for watching us again. And leave a comment down below on the replay. We'll make sure that we come back during a week and answer some questions. So if you aren't familiar with this, this is where you have an opportunity to ask me a question. It's really a quick fire exchange back and forth on the questions I see that are coming in. And those that are Patreon extra credit members, you can join us over on Zoom. And I do see we've got Jeff, Joe, Kenneth, Les, and Mike are all coming in over on the Zoom session. And as a reminder over there, if you want to leave a chat, go ahead. I've got the chat box up over there as well. So I am really hoping that we are live and looking well. There we go. I got my other screen over here. So let's go through some questions we have coming in. So right away, we got Robert coming in. Robert, good to see you in there tonight. And our first question comes in from Ranger. Ranger says, I have a SDS 100 with the NXDN upgrade installed. If I enter an NXDN trunk system that is encrypted, will I hear nothing or should I hear noise or something? That being the encrypted transmissions. It's been a while for me looking into encryption on NXDN. In fact, I don't know if I have any encryption NXDN here, but what I've heard on other systems such as P25 or DMR is you kind of get that R2D2 sound on it. Is a right? That kind of thing. And that's usually what comes through the speaker. I have to remember what it's like, though, to listen to anything on the SDS 100 when it comes encrypted, because I just usually have all that tuned out. But what is interesting as a side topic here is if you listen to encryption with something like the TRX1, where did I put my TRX1? Here it is, this guy right here. If you use this and you listen to encryption, it actually sounds like when you are getting a busy tone on a phone call. If you guys remember what it's like to dial an old landline and you got a busy tone, that's what encryption sounds like on the TRX1, which really surprised me because I'm like, who's got an open telephone line on this thing? But no, it's that. So Joe's saying it usually auto mutes, which is what I think it does too, Joe. Over on the Zoom session, he says it auto mutes. So that's where I'm going on that one. So I would have to refresh my memory, but Joe, I think you're right. All right, going through more on this. Jim, what's up, Jim? Good to see you over on YouTube. Kenneth's on YouTube as well. You guys should be able to get us over on Zoom. Let's see. Do I know anybody that did the SDS 100 GPS mod? The person that did it's been MIA for some time. Yeah, that was John. I think it was John Winkle that did those. And what he was doing was basically he was opening up the SDS 100. He had a small GPS receiver and a small GPS circuit that actually plugged into the board on the SDS 100. Of course, it voided your warranty, but you didn't now need to have a GPS puck plugged into the side of the ports right here on, the GPS port, basically on the side of the SDS. So it was a really cool mod. I don't know what happened to John. I know he had some other stuff going on. And in fact, at one point, I actually ordered from him this cool little BNC adapter that goes on the bottom of the SDS, the top of the SDS 100. So you can put basically BNC antennas on top of the SDS 100. And instead of it being the barrel connector that Uniden supplies, this actually machined itself on there really nice and sits flush on top of the SDS. And now it's an SDS a BNC adapter up there. And of course, any of the side-to-side load that happens on the antenna is transferred to the body of the scanner instead of to the SMA port, which makes it really nice. Now, I know Joe or John was saying he would stop making these, but you can find them online if you go to airspy.us. That's a non-affiliate link. That's just a website I know that sells them, and you can grab these same kind of connectors there. You got to make sure they're the SDS 100 ones because they have, don't think you can see it, but there is a little lip on here that fits into the SDS 100. So for anybody else asking right now, I'm playing around with the Remronics 842 antenna on this radio. It's supposed to be a tri-band antenna, 700, 800, and then a VHF, UHF. So it's not really quad band because 700, 800 is considered one single band. So that's what I'm running on there right now. But I don't know, Jim, anybody else who's actually running it or who's actually doing that anymore. But yeah, that would be there. Jim, the Zoom link is, I think I sent out 2 of them. I had 2 in my calendar, but the Zoom link is in the most recent post on Patreon, so you can go there and grab that. Ranger's second question is, what would you say is the best? Oh, here we go. What is the best antenna for the SDS 100? Used mostly for emergency services, trunk systems, and aviation. Okay, Ranger. So here we go. The question is going to be: is what frequencies do you need to do? So for aviation, you already that's VHF, right? But is the trunk system and emergency services in your area, are they VHF, UHF, or are they on 800 megahertz? If you don't know, go ahead and post your state and your county down below, and then I will go back to that and see. Another thing I'm looking at here, too, is we got a lot of questions that are coming in just from YouTube, so it makes me wonder if we are even plugged into Facebook at all. Let's see what happens here. Page not found. I haven't really been doing Facebook all that often, so let's take a quick look here. No, we're live. There we go. All right, so we just got no questions coming in from Facebook. All right. All right, I'm just waiting for a Ranger to come back in here. But to answer your other question, so right now I'm using the Remronics 842S. This is supposed to be for VHF, UHF, and 800. It's a little long. I mean, it's pretty lengthy. Like if we take the antenna off and we put it up to the side of the radio, you can see it's pretty much a little bit longer than radio. The other antenna I have been working around with here is the Remronics 820S, and again, that's definitely smaller than the other one I'm looking at here. So again, here's 2 antennas side by side, and I think this one is just a little bit less of a profile. But again, this is for only 800. So if you were saying you want to do aviation, I probably wouldn't recommend this antenna, but it definitely does seem a lot nicer on here. So it's about the same price for both these antennas. I haven't really put this one through its paces yet. I just put it on a couple weeks ago, and I've just been so busy I haven't really fired up the SDS 200 to see how well this antenna works, but I will, and we'll take a look at that. So I've been stalling here trying to see if you answer back yet, but we haven't seen anything yet. So we'll move on and see if you come back to us. We've got K-Love in from Thomasville, Georgia. Kevin, I think that's you. Let's see. We've got Stuart in. Been fighting with the 436 HP. Not able to hear airside. Does turn on monitoring for the favorites list. Not sure what you're saying there, Stuart. You're from Mid-Tennessee, USA. We can take a look at that. What county? And we'll start digging through there, and we'll take that. And see if maybe it's a simulcast issue, because if it is simulcast, then yes, you would get muting and it would give you problems, but you said not able to hear airside, and it could be because you have aviation turned off. Hey, let's take a look at that while we're trying to burn some time here and see what's going through here. While we'll do that too. Michael's in from Orlando, Florida. Man, must be nice and sunny down there. Michael says, thanks for all the information you share. Hey, I love doing this, Michael. This is why I do it. I want to thank you for tuning in and asking questions and giving feedback and being there, because that's what keeps me doing this. So I want to thank you for being out there and for being part of the community, because we're all in this together, right? It's not just me. It's everybody that's in the scanner radio hobby that participates is all part of the community. So I want to thank you for being there and being part of this. And let's see what else we got. Stuart saying from Mid-Tennessee. But yeah, if you have a county, let's Wayne, you're in here too. Wayne, good to see you. And glad we were able to answer that question you had earlier today as well. While we're looking around here, let's load up Sentinel on the computer, and we'll do a switch over here, and we'll take a look at maybe why you are not receiving aviation, because we may have a reason for that. So I am just looking at the computer here to try and load it up. Let's see. We've got Uniden, and we got Sentinel, And then I got to find this, and we'll transition over to the computer transition. There we go. All right. So one thing we need to look at when we're in Sentinel, and I got to bring the window back up here so I can actually see what's going on here. Too many windows. I need 2 screens. What we can do here is we go into our profile settings. This is that little white piece of paper with the red pencil in it. And when you click on that, it brings up our profile settings. If I make this larger, hopefully you guys can see it better. And if I go into service types, you'll see that everything on my screen here has a checkbox next to it, right? That's because I've turned them all on already in this profile. But if any of these are disabled, right, this effectively locks them out of your scan list. So if you were trying to monitor aircraft and you had the global database set up to monitor aviation, what happens? If this is unchecked, you're never going to hear aviation. So it's always great to go in here on a profile and turn them all on. Now, if you have a scan list set up in your scanner, a favorites list, or you have something turned on, in your scanner, if you were doing this through the key programming, through the front panel programming, you wouldn't be able to turn on or off anything that's not currently in your scan list. So it could make it really difficult to turn aircraft off and on if you're not actively scanning something that had something in the aviation scan list. Ray, I got you in here as well. Joseph, we'll come back to your question here. And it was not much of an issue, Stuart says. Just one of those old man moments to share the OMs. Yeah. So these radios can be a bit of a cumbersome experience. I was actually talking with somebody last night who is used to the 325, and he was trying to set up the SDS 100 to work like a 325, and we went through it, how to use the quick keys, but in the end we just ended up using the UI for toggling things off and on. Joe, you're asking, how often should you update your database? Well, the database updates every Monday, so at a bare minimum or a better maximum, once a week. Bare minimum once a week, I guess. But really, it's whenever you see changes in your area. And how do we know if we have changes in our area? Well, let's take a look. Let's go over here. So I'm going to go to my Safari window. We're going to transition over here. Of course, shameless plug. Here is my homepage for Scanner School. You can always grab our latest podcast right here. It's on the front page. I though recommend signing up for our newsletter. I only bug you once a week with the latest updates that's going on here. But let's take a look at Radio Reference. So I've got Radio Reference set up right now that I can tell my counties, I have an update here, right? My county is, or my neighboring county, the one county I'm watching is green. My personal county here in Nassau is this funny yellow color, right? If I click on it, we can come through here and see what has changed. Of course, I always just scroll down here to see, okay, nothing else has changed. And then if I click on the county trunk systems, I can see we've got a couple of changes in the area. So if I wanted to click on Metro 25, again, I could see that something here has changed. Either it's not really making a change here or anything else, but it looks like they added a channel ID table. So that was really the only change that happened here. So that's really, if you see changes here, basically is what I'm trying to say, long story short. Yeah, then go ahead and update your Hull Patrol database. The other thing is, though, is this only updates the master database, right? So let's go back and transition again so I can show you the difference here. So if I go back over to transition over back to here. So let's close this window out. So the top area, right? This is your master database. The bottom here is my favorites list. These are lists that I've made up personally. If I update the master database by going up to update master database, right? This is only going to update the stuff up in here. This isn't going to update anything I've created because I may be overriding what's in the master database. So if you have changes and you know there's changes and you know there's additions, and again, we're only about addition, we're not talking about deletions. Deletions don't happen in your favorites list. But what you're going to want to do is after you've got to download the database, right? What you're going to have to do then is you're going to have to come back into the master database, and you're going to then really have to update, right? And push updates into your own favorites list. So if I wanted to say update NYPD, for example, I'd have to go to New York City and then NYPD. I got to find them, right? And then I would have to then click append the favorites. I have to find my NYPD favorites list, right? And then click on OK. And then this would update my NYPD favorites list that I have in Sentinel that I've already created. So really, when you have to update it, whenever you see changes in your area, but you have to remember that if there are changes and you do have your own favorites list, you're going to have to manually update those as well. So there we go. All right, let's move through things here that we have on it. Did I see Ray reference 2.0 is out? Yeah, Ray, we just went through that really quickly. I am actually going to do a podcast episode on that one. I've been kind of postponing that one because it's just going to be a bear to write. But I will be doing probably in the next, you'll probably see it in 2 weeks, to be honest with you. A whole thing on the radio reference database 2.0, what's changed, where you can find things. And the nice thing about doing that podcast episode is I'm going to try doing something a little bit different where I'm actually going to record a video of going through the changes. And then I'll pull out just the audio from that video, make the audio a podcast. And this will actually be a podcast episode with a true video experience going with it. So you can actually, if you want to listen to the video with the video, you'll be able to do that. So there'll be that as well. Ranger, sorry, the trunk system is, Southern Ontario, Canada, Toronto Fire. I am sure they are all 800 band. Which antenna will be best for that? Let's take a look because I've got Les is in my Zoom meeting right now. And I know, Les, you're up in that area as well. So he may be able to chime in. Les, if you have any feedback for this one, go ahead and drop in the comments in the chat, and I'll relay all those over to Ranger. So let's take a look. Let's swap over here. Click here. We'll transition again to Safari. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's take a look. Radio reference database. Hey guys, here's a hint. Don't get lost in the radio reference database. Just click on browse when you get here. Okay, this will take you right back to the old database format that you used to know and love. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on Canada. We're going to go and we're going to go to, come on, Southern Ontario. And Southern Ontario, Canada, Toronto Fire, Toronto, there we go, Toronto Trunk Systems. Well, let's take a quick look at what we see with Fireground. P25 for Fireground operations, P25 here, Fire Services backup, and it says, what is this? English Town, Correctional Facilities, Events, City Properties, Toronto Hybrid, Electric Systems. So usually what I would expect to find, right, is I would expect to find right here, Fire Services, Fire Operate on a whatever, right? We don't see that, but yeah, we have a little bit of something to look at here, right? This Toronto Emergency Services, and I'm pretty sure we're going to find out what we don't want to see here. Toronto Emergency Services, it says, confirmed but unidentified talk groups are located in the wiki, which is beautiful. You guys are using the wiki up there. Fire dispatch is digital, non-encrypted. Fire services, non-encrypted. Fire services east, services north, services. Look at this. So when we get to PD, we have encryption. But it looks like the beauty is you've got a P25 network up here that is non-encrypted for fire. Here's the frequencies. So yes, you do need a antenna that would operate well for 700, 800, all right? What's the best antenna for it? Look, I'm going to recommend the Remronics. Where did I do with that antenna? It's already on my radio. The Remronics 820M. Now, if you want to do me a favor, you can go to scannerschool.com/Remronics. It will take you right to this, a link to this that you can buy, I think, over on Amazon. If not, you can go to scannerschool.com/Amazon, and that will take you to amazon.ca for your area, and that will help out Scanner School when you make the purchase. A secondary antenna, though, would, again, I'm not really sure how this one works yet, but if you want to roll a dice on it, you can try that one. It's the 842. But here's the deal. Everybody wants to say, I want the best antenna, I want the best antenna, I want the best antenna. If the stock antenna is doing a good enough job, and then say you've already maxed out the bar, right? You're at 100 out of 100, or you're at 90 out of 100. And we're just using a random scale here. I could say 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And getting a better antenna isn't really going to do that much of a benefit because you're already bringing in ample amount of signal into your scanner for your scanner to do its thing. It's really going to help you out on areas that you could benefit from having. If, say, you have weak coverage on the stock antenna, right? then yeah, you'd want to improve on that one. And again, it's one of those deals, and I'm looking for the stock antenna, and I must have moved it and relocated it. It's around here somewhere. Actually, it's up in the cabinet over there. That antenna that comes with the scanner is like an equal opportunity offender. It's going to work equally poor across all bands. And Les, thank you so much for helping out Ranger on this question. Ranger, Les is saying Toronto Fire is 700 megahertz for Fire is going TDMA slowly, EMS and Fire only non-encrypted. Thank you, Les, for the help. And again, this is what we're finding out here too. Oh, very important to find here too. Sight on wheels. This is a cow or sight on wheels, right? I'm a cellular guy. I work for a cellular company, so cow is cell on wheels. But sight on wheels is a deployable trunk sight. So if they needed to bring in more capacity or if they needed to bring in better coverage, they could bring in this cell on wheels. So typically, you're not going to monitor this cell on wheels because it's just not going to exist. All right, but what I would assume is that this path would be an underground trunk system, so you would really want to just pick up one of these and monitor that as well. So long story short here is if your antenna is working well and you already got full signal on it, upgrading the antenna is not going to bring you more, right? It's still going to be just as strong. But if you need to really bring it in, I would recommend this Remronics 820M. I'm using this one. It works really well on 700, 800, and I would recommend that one. The jury's still out for me on this one, okay? All right, let's take a look at some more that are coming in here on our YouTube channel here. Next recommendations for stuff to listen to in Hawaii when you go down there. Hey, Jim, good to see you going down to Hawaii. I actually programmed and sold pagers to a couple people down in Hawaii, and I was very jealous that I had something that was going to Hawaii in the middle of winter up here. So let's take a look at that one. And guys, if I'm helping you out here, do me a favor. Make sure you give a thumbs up on the video because that really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And make sure you're also subscribed to the channel because that also helps us out as well. Like a moral support really is where it helps, right? I love seeing that more people are enjoying what we are doing here on everything. So seeing more subscribers is really a big help to my moral boost here. So let's go to the database home here. Let's go back to browse. Let's go to Hawaii. Where you going, Jim, in Hawaii? Because there's a couple of different systems in here. If you go on the Big Island, let's take a look at the Big Island here, right? And if we look at the Hawaii trunk systems, we've got a couple down here. So Hawaii County Public Safety. And of course, this is where I would look right here, right? You've got Hawaii Fire. You've got police. A lot of TDMA, very little encryption. So I think you'd have a really good time listening down in Hawaii. Again, not really sure where you're going to be, but if you look at the Maui system here, I think this was what we just looked at. Let's see, Hawaii County Public Radio, Hawaii County Fire. Not really sure where you're going, but, it looks like you're off to a good start as far as Hawaii. Let's look at Honolulu. Let's look at this island here. Honolulu is an EDAX system. Come on. Analog and digital. All right. So the digital stuff here, you're going to need to have the Pro Voice upgrade on your scanner. Up to you if you think it's worth it for the one trip because there is no Pro Voice here on Long Island. So it's really what you think is going to be there. So there you go, Jim. We could talk more about this over on the Zoom session. I mean, the Patreon session if you want. Let's see what we got here coming in as well. UDX, just want to say thanks for taking the time to share the info and help on this side of the hobby. Been in the CB and shortwave for years and new to scanning. This channel has helped me very much. UDX, my pleasure. And if there's anything you want to see, because again, I really got to get going to video. I got a lot of fire under my butt for that one. But if you have any suggestions of stuff you want to see, let me know because that'll definitely help point me in the right direction for more content that I can throw on here as well. Let's see what we got. Rangers coming in too. Thanks for all the help assistance without the condescending attitude that some people have. I've had scanners for over 45 years and still don't know everything. You know what, Ranger? Nobody knows everything. And I'm going to tell you the first one that I am still learning, right? This is a hobby, right? This is what we have to think of it. It is a hobby. And it's always going to change. It's always going to evolve. And we have to evolve with it. And if you don't, you're going to miss, right? You're going to miss something because think about it. If I'm staying in an analog world here where I am right now and the rest of the world is moving on to P25 digital and trunking, and now all of a sudden I'm late to the game to trunking, And then I'm going to feel like, look, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I am, right? I remember that feeling of learning trunking for the first time and being just overwhelmed with all the information that was out there. I don't want anybody else to have to feel that way, right? So I love teaching. I'm not a teacher. I probably should have been a teacher, right? But I love teaching. I love helping people out with the hobby. This is why I do what I do. And look, we all start somewhere, right? And people are going to enjoy the hobby more once they understand it. I don't want somebody to come in here and say, I hate it because I can't understand it, right? I don't like when people say, oh, it's encryption either, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But I live in a world with encryption as well. I get it. I understand it. But we have to work around it to still enjoy the hobby. That's what we always say, too. The secrets are in the searches. Find out what else is out there. All right, moving through. Enrique from South Columbia. Oh boy, I'm really butchering that one. From Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you for listening from South America. Really enjoy having you in here. Would love to know what you're listening to with the scanner, and maybe if you're up for it, would love to get you on the podcast to talk about what it's like scanning in South America. That'd be really cool. Arthur is in tonight. 50-50 for tonight's Zoom. Hey, if you're in, you're in. And if not, we'll get a replay out to you. Don't worry. It's always good to have your support and have you in there, Arthur. In fact, I gotta touch base with you. I got some stuff coming. Delivery on Thursday. I can't wait to show you what I bought. Art. So stick around for that one. You'll know where to find that in the Discord server, by the way. You know where it's going. All right, Kevin's in. Kevin, question about the SDS 100 GPS unit. When you get back home, do you have to redo your zip code? You have your favorites list, but also sometimes like to use a full database. No, I think the zip code in there is going to override. Once you lose GPS, I am 99% sure it's going to fall back to your zip code. I haven't tested around that way, but if I was coding the radio, that's how I would do it. Because once you lose GPS, it could either say, well, this is where my last known position is, so this is where I'm going to go, or it's going to go to the where you've overwritten it with GPS, with the zip code. That's a real good question, Kevin. I'm going to have to assume it's going to fall back to what you've programmed in it, but I think it could go either way, so I'll have to play around with that. Jim's going to Maui. Lucky. Ray's coming in. Are taxi cabs good to hear? Well, it all depends. By me, they're all Spanish, so I can't understand a word they're saying. But they might be good. I'm sure it's a lot of chit-chat. It's got to be a lot like school buses. Hey, I enjoy listening to school buses because it's a little bit of entertainment in the morning. Jim, sorry. I'm not poking fun at you, Jim. I'm just saying I like listening to school buses because it is entertaining to listen to. It's something different. It's lighthearted a little bit. You get to find out where the accidents are, where the road conditions are, and just how delayed people are getting from point A to point B, and also too just to hear how angry some of the parents can get in the morning. So it is good listening. So if you have the opportunity to listen to, I'm talking about school buses, right? Not county buses. But give it a shot. Ray, this is what the hobby's about, right? Get in there. Try it out. See if you like listening to it. There's only one way to find out. So give it a go and let us know how you make out listening to them. Christina is in. Christina, long time no see. Yeah, it's good to have you on there. And great to see you in there. Joshua's in there enjoying your Unication G5. Glad to hear that, Josh. Jenny is in tonight. Jenny, the Zoom link. That's why you're here. Jenny, go over to Patreon. Log into Patreon, and the Zoom link will be right there on the messages. Also, check your email settings because the email also went out Sunday night with the link for the Zoom session, so you should find it in there as well. And, of course, now my page is going off, so we'll get a bit of background noise for that while it goes through there as well. Ray is also saying, too, found the old school bus frequency. Yeah, you can listen to it. It's always good listening to that one. UDX, what's a good mobile mount scanner antenna? I like listening to or using the Spectrum Force antenna. Of course, that one comes from. Well, I forgot this whole time I'm talking to you guys, and I've got you in the tiny Zoom here. You know what? Let's do this. And I want to thank my Patreon supporters one more time before we wrap things up here. I like using the Spectrum Force. It's got a really small antenna mount. It's like the size of maybe a $50. It really does hold on well. And the antenna looks a lot like a old cell phone antenna. It's a straight bar. It's got the curly Q in it, and it's another straight bar. So yeah, we don't see a lot of those anymore, or a lot of those cell phone antennas on cars anymore. But that's a lot what that looks like. Let's see. Christina is saying once cell phones came out, dispatchers would call drivers because of other drivers would steal the calls. A lot of that came out, Christina, with the not so much the buses, but the tow companies, right? But I've been seeing a lot of tow companies showing up again on there's the One Voice DMR network out this way, and there's a lot of tow companies out there. So you may find them over there talking around. So give that one. But yeah, there's been a lot of sniping when it comes to tow companies. It's just part of the trade, to be honest with you, because again, they want to know where the accidents are, and they want to be first on scene because first on hook, right, gets the tow. So there's that one. Ray, do not know if Chicago police is going encrypted. That's the same back and forth as New York City. It could happen. It could not happen. Look, from my point of view, from my seat here, Christina, yes, with taxis, could also be that too. But yeah, I see a lot of taxis out my way. We've got the low VHF antennas, so who knows, right? There's really, in my neck of the woods, there's really only one taxi company that really covers the entire area. So there's really not much to. I'm sure there's a lot more going out on Uber now than taxis anyway. But yeah, that is a complete possibility too, right? I think in Suffolk there's a couple. They hang around the train stations a lot, right? So. But yeah, they got the giant antenna. Could be low VHF, but it could just be VHF. But yeah, it's definitely a 4-footer at least on the back of their cars. But going back, Ray, what I was saying to you before we split out of here, let's do this. Go back to the chat box. It's a hobby, right, for us, right? So look, when we start really hearing about something, yeah, we can react to it. But we can't react to something that is just going to be hearsay, or it's going to just be there for, emotional damage or to get blood boiling, right? You can have these encryption talks 1,000 times over, but when it actually happens, it happens, right? And that's really the best you can do is you could say, all right, well, I've had 20-something years, 30, 40, 50 years of listening to my police department. It sucks to see them go. But it happens. It's part of the hobby. It's part of what's happening. But we can learn to live with it, and we can learn to listen to other things, and we can also learn to monitor other agencies that will still give us an idea of what is happening. Yeah, I had an ambulance, and I had 2 police cars go whizzing down my house last night. I had no idea where they're going. It's a fact of life now, right? But if the fire department got that same call, I would have known what was going on. So That's what I'm saying. We got to learn to live with it and work around it. Joe is saying, yes, CPD is going encrypted, and they are in the process of going encrypted. And again, entirely possible. So there we go, guys. All right. With that, I am going to say thank you so much for watching the live session tonight, everybody. Anybody who caught the replay, I want to thank you again for that. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube, and make sure you give us a thumbs up if you got enjoyment out of this one. If you want to keep going with this conversation, I am heading over to Zoom right now with my Patreon extra credit members. It's $5 a month, guys. That's all it is. $5 a month. You get the podcast early. You get a commercial-free version of the podcast, and you get our monthly meetups, which is a roundtable discussion where we have a whole conversation as to what's going on. And we're really building like a little family and a little community right over here on our Zoom session, because the same people show up. Everybody's starting to know more about what everybody likes and what we all monitor and how, what we're all struggling with here when it comes to the scanner radio hobby. So if you want to join us right now over on our Patreon session, yeah, you can go over, I'm laughing at Jim's comment. You can go over to scannerschool.com/Patreon. You make your $5 donation right now. And what ends up happening is you get immediate access to it. and we'll get you the link. You'll get access to the dashboard. You can come on to our Patreon session right now, and we'll probably be there for the next hour or so. So everybody else, I want to say thank you again for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and we will do this again next month. Yes, July 5th. July 5th is the date for next month. So make sure you mark your calendar, and we'll put a bookmark or something over here on YouTube as well. All right, guys, 73, and we will catch you all next month.